Why, hello there, guys. How you doing? What's up, Wing Chun? How you doing today? Hey, Losh. Glad you could join. Hey, Sunny Side Up. Howdy to you too. How y'all doing? I was working on a thumbnail for the next video. I think it's pretty clickable. I like it. What's up, Nikki? You guys want to see a little preview? All right, hold on. I'm gonna show you. 1 second. Boom. That looks pretty clickable. No? Isn't it intriguing? Don't you want to know what's going to be in the video? Makes you want to click. I think at first I was like I wanted to do this. This looks pretty good, but I thought, since there are two dudes, I can do this and split the screen. Yeah, I gotta work on the red a little bit. Give it a little bit of a gradient. But hey, I think this looks good. What's cool is that on YouTube you can put you can upload 2 thumbnails and have it test to see which one does better. So I actually do both. Would click? Alright, yeah. Okay, good. What's up, Malik? How's it going? How do I make my thumbnails? Well, I use Adobe Illustrator. You wonder about switching thumbnails? Oh yeah. Well, I usually do it for new videos. Not for older ones, but sometimes I do. Sometimes I go back to an older video and I see that the thumbnail is not that good. Especially the older ones. Because like when I first started out, I didn't really think too much about the thumbnail and title. Yeah. So a lot of those are not that clickable. But sometimes I'll get the itch and I'll be like, you know what? I'll redo this thumbnail to see if it does better. What's up, Psyduck? Definitely clickable. Behind the scenes on video editing? Ah, nah. That would be fun though. The teal background makes it look like they're in love. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. I have a bunch of like different backgrounds you want to see. I just rotate. There's this, there's this, this, oh wait. This, this, this. Hold on. This. Sometimes what you know what you can do? You can also hold on. Kind of combine them. So I can make this one have like 50% opacity. And then I can make this one visible. So this one's 100% opacity, and this top one is 50%. So it makes it kind of a different color, you know? You can kind of blend them. Yeah, to get different colors. Yeah, for a simple background, that's usually what I do. I can do that, or I'll have like actual different backgrounds. Like this, or this, or this. Yeah, and then I can also overlay this, these backgrounds. Wait, let me trim the view. I can overlay these backgrounds, make it look a little bit different. Yeah, usually that's what I do. Do some combination of that to see what looks good. But take that out. This. Okay. So I'm going for this. I need the Mr. Beast face. I need to make all of the Why do they have red eyes? Why do they? Yellow is good for clicks. Are you sure? I think for thumbnails, you want a good contrast between the title and whatever is behind it, and a good contrast between the subjects and the background. If it's all kind of the same, it's hard to see. So it's hard for it to pop out. All right. Enough of that. So I was working on this and I was listening to a podcast. Have you guys heard about this fungus that attacks cicadas? It's so interesting and disgusting. It's a fungus, okay? It infects cicadas. Now, you know cicadas? Those things, not cordyceps. I know about cordyceps, but it's another one. I forget the name. Some weird scientific name. But well, cicadas are there are periodical cicadas where they are underground for like 13 or 17 years, and then every 13 or 17 years they come out and then they fly all over the place, like billions and billions of them, or millions or whatever, a bunch of them, and they mate for a couple of days and then they just die. Anyways, there's this fungus that attacks cicadas. You know what it does? So it infects the cicada, and if a cicada gets infected, it grows inside of it, okay? And eventually, the abdomen of the cicada falls off, and you see it being replaced by this mass of freaking fungus. Okay, so like its lower third of the body is just this massive fungus. But that's not all. What's it called? Massospora cicadina. Yeah, that sounds like it. Thanks, Malik. Yeah, that's not all, guys. So after this happens, so this is where the genitals are, okay? So its genitals are gone. All right. But they still want to mate because it's in their instinct. So they try to mate with other cicadas. Even the male ones would sometimes even flick their wings, which is what only females do to attract other males. So these males would kind of flick their wings to attract other males, males, and the other males come and they would try to mate with this infected cicada, but it can't, right? It doesn't have any genitals. It is not a female. However, it tries to mate with it, and in doing so, it touches the fungus, and it gets infected too. All right. So the infected now, so that causes like a secondary infection. So the secondary infection also does stuff. Okay. If the male cicada gets infected by a secondary infection, okay, it can just go mate with other females and it'll spread the spores that way. However, if a female gets infected, okay, it can still mate with a healthy male, but then its body is all fucked up by this fungus that during the mating, the male would just tear off her genitals and it gets stuck on its own like little peepee while it's flying around doing its own stuff. Disgusting. Disgusting. Yeah. Eventually those cicadas that have their bottom third of their body totally destroyed, they die off. But the secondary infections don't really kill the cicadas. They just continue on doing their own stuff and they die a natural death. Yeah. So these spores, yeah, that's how they spread. Okay, this is their life cycle. It's so interesting the way it can, like, evolution can just, like, these fungus evolved alongside the cicadas. It's so interesting. Yeah. I haven't heard of this before. I've heard of the cordyceps that infect the ants and make like grow the cordyceps mushrooms on the ant's head and try to yeah, it also changes the ant's instinct so that it likes to climb up on leaves or grass so that cows can eat it. So that can continue the cordyceps's life cycle. It's so interesting. I'm assuming humans are too complicated. Like our brains or our nervous system are more complicated than insects. That's why it can't do that stuff to us. Requires a lot more evolution, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I don't think it happens for humans. Unless you've watched The Last of Us. Great show, by the way. Great game, too. And T. Gondii, which infects humans via cats. Oh, I heard about that one. That infects humans, but all it does is it makes you more extroverted. Is that right? That's what I heard. Yeah. It infects us through cats. Yeah. Just makes you more social. It makes you like cats more? Oh, is that true? I thought it inhibits any like social nervousness that you have. I could just be making that up. What's up, Lady Koi? How's it going? It's meant to make mice fall prey. Leading theory is that it makes us less fearful, which helped big cats hunt us back in the day. So it just makes us less fearful in general? Gotcha. I guess that can translate to social interactions, but I guess it would translate to other areas of human interaction too. All right. Shall we get started? Hmm. All right, hold on. I am having a problem. Now I can't save my thumbnail. What the fuck? What's up, Hope? How's it going? Hope, Lady Koi. Oh, you guys missed the thumbnail preview. Sorry. Alright, now I can't save the thumbnail. It says unexpected errors. Maybe I'll just leave it? Okay. Alright, I'll leave it. Whoops. Okay. You ready? Do 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 do. Oh, okay. Oh my god. Ras. Rats. Rates. Rages. Rafes. Raids. Oh, there's so many words. Rails. Rakes. Rakes. Rakes? It wouldn't be something plural, right? Okay. We got A S E R. Laser! Laser, mazer, naser, baser. Laser. Yeah. All right. That was easy. Well, let's see how we do here. Hold on. Hello. Hi. Howdy. Greetings. Laser. Fire. Oh, water. Earth. Flame. Burn. Firefighter. Hot. Heat. Phasers. Nope. Space lasers? Space. Film. Arson. Paper. House. City. Library. Coal. Run. Jog. Fly. Flee. Head. Glass. Running. Jump. Scene. Oh, like fleeing the scene? Away. Far. Far away. Time. Distance. Length. Escape. Oh, train. Escape. There's escape, but not flee. Surprise. Go. Out. In. Vacation. Nope. Jail. Prison. Gone. Outside. Leave. Flee, we tried. Escape. Attempt. Vacation, we tried that, right? Abscond. Edge. Depart. Animal. Room. Disappear. Hide. Vanish. Hunt. Oh. Hunted. Hunter. Deer. Break. Break out. Missing. Whoa! Miss. Person. Report. Case. Evade. Kidnap. Shoot. Ketchup. Missing. Escape. Fugitive. Suspect. Victim. Miss. Person we tried. Lost. Peace. Memory. Memories. Life. Prisoner. Guard. Escaped. Missing out. Hunt. Fugitive. Manhunt. Gone, we tried. Abscond, we tried. Dead? Oh! Dead! Die. Death. Grave. Daisies. Like pushing up daisies. Haunt. Deceased. Deceased. Murder. Alive. Oh! What's up, Sal? How's it going? You're the first to say alive. Okay, not bad, guys. Not bad. All right. I have this. I'm curious to see what it is. What? Huh? It's Pikachu. It says Choco Pie. Oh. Okay. Oh no. Oh no, it's melting in my hand. Ah! You guys see it? Okay, I'm gonna put it back in. It's all crushed. It's destroyed. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Alright. Mmm. Mm-hmm. Mmm. Mmm. Like a thin layer of chocolate. Got some dough. Got a cream filling. And it's all flattened. Alright, focus camera. No. Eat it in one bite? No. That's so crumbly. Hmm. Hmm. Alright, I need a napkin. Hold on. Alright. We're gonna finish it. Hmm. Mm-hmm. It's not bad. Not enough chocolate. The chocolate layer is very thin. That's why it's all crumbly. Alright. Oh my god, it's melting. Ah! Ah! Alright, here. Mmm. Hmm. It's a Pikachu. Uh-huh. Oh, squish rating? Oh. There is some squishiness to it. I'm gonna say it's like a 5 or a 6. It is kind of squishy. But like it doesn't bounce back that much. So you squish it, it's just squished. Oh, God. Hold on. No, not a fan. It's just way too messy. Hmm. The taste is like a 7.5 out of 10. Yeah. But the messiness, I'm gonna have to minus some points, guys. Gonna have to be a 6.9. Crunch rating 0. All right. Are you ready? A lot of things happened last time. All right. Oh, I need more water. Eats most of it, not a fan. Yum, guys. Yum, yum, yum. Not a fan. Not good. 0. All right. So last time, our little Guojing, cute little Guojing, he sees Temujin, who is Genghis Khan. He sees Temujin win a battle. Okay. And he goes home. He's all hyped. The next morning, his mom leaves for the marketplace, and this man in black approached on horseback. It's that man who was a part of the losing army. Now, Guojing has been taught to treat guests well, so he gives the man some water, he feeds him, he doesn't even accept payment from the man. Okay, the man tries to give him something, and he doesn't accept it. And a bit later, the first prince of the Mongols, this guy named Chochi, he arrives with some soldiers looking for the man, and the man hides before he comes. Now, Guojing, he doesn't want to tell him where the man is, but he also can't tell a lie. So he just declares that, no, I won't tell anyone. I won't tell. Which lets everyone know that he does know where the guy is. So later on, Temujin arrives, okay, and Guojing still says he won't tell. And then Jochi is about to hit the boy, but seeing this, that injured man jumps out of his hiding spot. Okay, and he reveals himself. His name is Jebe. Okay, we called him Jeb. His name is Jebe. Jebe challenges the Great Khan. But then this big dude named Bogurchi, he accepts the challenge for the Khan. Now, Bogurchi is Temujin's childhood friend. So the duel, okay, is that they would fight with the bow on horseback. Jebe agrees, and he says he doesn't even need arrows. He just needs a bow and a horse, okay? And then they fight. It turns out Jebe is kind of a badass. Now, how do you fight without arrows, you ask? Well, he just catches the arrows from Bogurchi, and he returns them back to him, all right? And he even manages to hit Bogurchi, okay? But that arrow, he had taken off the arrowhead, and he spared the man's life, that big dude's life. Temujin sees this, and he stops the match. And he says he'll exchange a life for a life, and Jebe can go free. Jebe says, no, I want to exchange my life for the boy. And then he continues the fight. Now, but then this time, Bogurchi hits Jebe. But then this time, he also removes his arrowhead, okay? And then the duel ends for real. Then Jebe just bows down to Temujin, and he joins Temujin's army. And everyone's happy. Then Guojing's mom returns later, and then she hears the whole story, and she's probably like, well, my son may be an absolute dummy, but he's a good boy. He's a good boy. So the Jin army comes suddenly, okay? The Jin army just arrives to give an honorary title to Temujin, okay? And with them are Wenyan Honglie and Wenyan Hongxi. So Hongxi is the third son of the Jin emperor, and then Wenyan Honglie is the sixth son of the Jin emperor. Wenyan Honglie is the guy that that kidnapped damn it, what is her name? Bao Shi Rui. Yeah. So they give him a title. They get into this little argument because Temujin wants them to give his sworn brother Jamuka a title also, but they refuse. They also travel to bestow a title to Ong Khan, who is Temujin's stepfather, and Temujin comes along. Along the way, they meet some other tribe, and they also want a title. Everyone wants a fucking title. They were declined, so they attacked. Of course, the armies of Temujin and Jamuka, they win the battle. And seeing this, Wenyan Honglie, he sees how strong these tribes are, these tribes from the northern steppes. And he thinks that if the tribes unite, then they would have a good chance of destroying the Jin Empire. And then afterwards, a little bit afterwards, another army arrives. And that's where we stop. How's that? Okay. This is Chapter 4, Two Killers in the Tempest. All right, let's fight again, Wenyan Hongxi proclaimed out loud. So this is because they see the new army come, okay, and they think it's enemies, but probably not enemies. Unexpectedly, the forward scouts came back with a different report. The Ong Khan is here to personally welcome the two Jin princes. Temujin, Jamuka, and Sengum immediately rode forward to meet him. From the dust clouds, an army emerged. With several hundred personal guards with him, the Ong Khan rode up, rolled off the back of his horse in one easy movement. Then, with his adopted sons Temujin and Jamuka at his side, approached and kneeled before the two princes. He was a rather chubby man with glittering silver hair. He wore a robe made of the finest black leopard furs that was held in place by a golden belt around his waist. The way he carried himself was one of great dignity and confidence. Wenyan Honglia hurriedly got off his own horse and returned the gesture, but Wenyan Hongxi remained on his horse and merely replied by cupping his fists. Your humble servant just heard the news of the Naaman's rudeness, and was worried that your highnesses might have been disturbed. Your humble servant brought a force here as soon as possible. But fortunately, due to your highness's awe-inspiring presence, the three kids were able to defeat them. The Ong Khan spoke. Next, he took the lead and courteously led the Wenyan brothers all the way back to his own gur. The inside of his gur was covered with leopard and fox furs, and well fitted with the finest furniture and wares. Even his personal guards were dressed in more luxurious clothing than those of Temujin's guard, not to mention Temujin and his son. The bellowing of horns continuously sounded for several kilometers surrounding the gur. Men and horses bustled about, giving an atmosphere of something great going on. Never had the Wenyan brothers seen anything approaching such grandeur since they've been outside the Great Wall. After the ceremony of bestowing the title was finished, everyone settled down. That night, Ong Khan held a huge banquet in the big gur to celebrate the arrival of the Wenyan brothers. Scores of female slaves danced for entertainment. As the banquet progressed late into the night, it became quite lively and was miles apart from the simple and slightly backwater reception they received from Temujin's tribe. Wenyan Hongxi was having one hell of a time, of course. Two female slaves had caught his fancy, and he was pondering ideas in his head. It never occurred to him to talk to Ong Khan. After about half of the kumis had been consumed, Wenyan Honglia turned to the Ong Khan. Your heroic deeds are known far and wide. Even we who reside within the Great Wall have long admired your greatness, but I really want to meet some of the heroes of the younger generation of Mongolians, he said. Well, my two adopted sons just happen to be the two greatest heroes of Mongolia, the Ong Khan responded with a smile. Sengum, his own son, who sat to one side, did not react well on hearing this, and began downing one cup of kumis after another. Your own son is another hero. Why aren't you mentioning him? Wenyan Honglia asked, taking note of Sengum's displeasure. After I die, he will naturally take over my tribe, the Ong Khan smiled and replied. But can he compare with his two adopted brothers? Jamuka is smart and intelligent. Temujin is even more brave and courageous. He started with nothing and made himself into what he is today with his own hands. What Mongol warrior wouldn't want to put his life in their hands and serve them? Does that mean that the generals under Hero Ong don't compare to Temujin Khan's generals? Wenyan Honglia queried. Noticing that there was a hint of instigation in his words, Temujin shot a look towards Wenyan Honglia and mentally prepared himself for what might come next. The Ong Khan slowly stroked his beard and did not reply. Instead, he took another gulp from his cup of kumis. The last time, when the Naaman came and stole several thousand of my livestock, it was only because of Temujin and his 4 aces that we were able to get the livestock back. Even though he doesn't have many men under him, each and every one of them is skilled and brave. Your Highnesses must have witnessed that firsthand today. Oh, wait. Wait, this is the Ong Khan speaking. Sengem's face turned even angrier as he slammed the gold cup in his hand onto the table, causing a loud bang. What good am I, really? Wait. What good am I, really? What I have today is simply because of the attention and care that my adopted father showered on me. Temujin hurried to add. His 4 aces? Who are they? I want to meet them. Wenyan Honglia changed the subject as well. Why don't you summon them inside? The Ong Khan asked Temujin. Temujin lightly clapped his hands and 4 men walked into the gur. The first one looked gentle and scholarly with a white, clean face. He was the master of strategy. Mukhali. Alright, Sal, good night. You'll return next week with a surprise for me and everyone? Oh, okay. I can't wait. The second man had a strong, sturdy build, and his eyes were as piercing as an eagle's. He was none other than Temujin's good friend, Bogurchi. The third man was short but agile, and his steps were light and swift. He was Tolui's master, Borokul. The last one's face and hands were covered with battle scars, and his face was blood red. This was the man who saved Temujin's life so many years ago. Chilaun. The 4 of them were the founding generals in the rise of Mongolia, and were called the 4 Aces by Temujin. After looking at them, Wenyan Honglia praised each one somewhat, and then awarded all of them with a big cup of kumis. On the battlefield today, there was a general with a black cape, who led the charge through enemy formations. Nobody could stop him. Do you know who he was? Wenyan Honglia inquired after the 4 aces had finished their drinks. That's the squad leader that I just recruited, Temujin answered. Everyone calls him Jebe. Then why don't we invite him for a drink as well? Wenyan Honglia suggested. Temujin turned and issued the command. Jebe entered the gur and properly gave thanks for the reward of a drink. He was just about to drink when he was interrupted. How dare you, a measly squad leader, drink from my gold cup? Sengam shouted. Jebe was shocked and furious, but stopped the cup as it came up to his lips. He looked over at Temujin for the proper course of action. In Mongolian culture, stopping someone from drinking is an enormous insult, not to mention that this was done in front of all these people. How could anyone bear such an insult? Uh-oh. Is shit gonna go down? For my adopted father's sake, I'm going to let Sengum get away with this insult, Temujin decided, turning to Jebe. Bring it over here. I'm thirsty. Let me drink it. He took the cup from Jebe's hands and drank all of its contents in one gulp. Jebe shot an angry look towards Sengum, turned, and began to walk out of the gur. Is there a possum underneath his table controlling him? The fan art? You gonna give us fan art of possums? Oh. Even though Brother Temujin has his 4 aces, I have something that could defeat all 4 of them as soon as I let it loose. Unhappy that things were not working out to his liking, Sengum changed the subject. He chuckled when he said that, even though he called Temujin brother, he was not an Anda of Temujin. He only did it because his father was Temujin's adopted father. This is Wenyan Hongxi. Really? What could that be? What could be that powerful? Wenyan Hongxi's interest was piqued by that statement. Well, we can go outside, and I can show you, Sengum said. We are having a good time drinking. What are you trying to stir up now? Ongkan objected. Just sitting here and drinking is getting boring. Let's see something different. Wenyan Hongxi very much wanted to see some trouble started. So much so that he had already stood up by the time he finished his sentence and walked out. The others had no choice but to follow him. The Mongolian troops had started several hundred campfires and were celebrating beside them. When the Khans exited the Gur, there was a huge rumble as the large section of troops to the west stood up immediately. They were lined up in perfect formation. Not one of them was moving. They were none other than Temujin's troops. To the east, the Ongkan's troops, slowly and disorganized, picked themselves up from the ground. There were even faint sounds of joking to be heard within their ranks. Although the Ongkan's troops were Even though the Ongkan's troops are more numerous, they can't compare with Temujin's troops, Wenyan Honglia concluded upon seeing this display. Wine! Temujin called. He had noticed in the glow of the fire that Jebe's face was still showing fury, so he ordered that big jug of wine to be brought to him. Infamy is a possum? You can't prove it? Today's tremendous victory over the Naiman was a result of everyone's hard work and dedication, he loudly declared to everyone. It's because we were led by Ongkan, Temujin Khan, and Jamuka, all of the soldiers answered in one voice. Today, I saw someone who was especially brave, charging the enemy's rear no less than 3 times. He shot down several dozens of the enemy. Who was he? Temujin asked. Squad leader Jebe, the soldiers answered again. No, not squad leader, but company commander Jebe, Temujin corrected. Everyone was momentarily taken aback before realizing what he meant and began to cheer. Jebe is a great warrior! He well deserves to become a company commander, they all shouted with approval. Promotion. Bring my helmet to me, Temujin instructed Jelme. Soon Jelme returned with the helmet and presented it to him. This is the helmet that I wear onto the battlefield. This is the helmet that I wear as I kill my enemies. Temujin raised the helmet high above his head for everyone to see. Now, this will be a cup for a warrior to drink from. Ew. He opened the jug of kumis and poured all of its contents into the helmet. His helmet guy. What if he has dandruff? Ugh. Bringing it to his lips, he took a huge gulp from the helmet and then offered it to Jebe. Overwhelmed with gratitude and with lowered head, Jebe knelt down on one knee to receive the helmet and finish the rest of the kumis. Even though the most precious diamond-studded gold cup in the world cannot compare with my Khan's helmet, he said in a low voice. Temujin smiled as he took his helmet back and put it back onto his head. What if he has worse than dandruff? Yeah, like lice. The Mongol troops had all caught word of how Jebe had been humiliated by Sengum and felt bad for him. Even those troops under Ongkan had thought that Sengum was wrong in what he did. Now seeing how Temujin treated him, they all burst out with a great cheer. What a man among men this Temujin is! At this moment, Jebe would gladly die on 1,000 times for him, Wen Yan Honglia thought to himself. Back in the imperial court, all the officials insisted that the north is populated by brainless barbarians. It's obvious that they have grossly underestimated these people. But Wen Yan Hongxi was only concerned with finding out what was that thing that Sengam claimed could defeat all four of the aces. So, what is it that you have that's so powerful that it could defeat all four of the aces? He said, as he casually sat back down onto the tiger fur covered chair that his personal servants had carried out. I invite your highness to get ready to see something very special. Four aces by foot, they probably won't even measure up to those two bastards of mine, Sengam quietly said with a smile, before turning around to the troops and loudly asking, Where are my brother Temujin's four aces? The four men came walking up and saluted their superiors. Sengam turned and whispered something to the trusted servants at his side, who nodded before running off. Soon after, the sound of roaring beasts could be heard as a pair of huge golden leopards came gracefully out from behind the gur. As they slowly approached in the darkness, the leopard eyes glowed like a pair of jade lanterns. This gave Wen Yan Hongxi quite a fright, as he immediately gripped the handle of his saber tightly. Only when the leopards walked close to one of the bonfires did he see that in fact there was a leash and a collar around their necks, and each leopard had a big fellow on the other end of the leash. Both had a long stick in their other hand, and, as it turned out, they were especially charged with raising and taking care of the leopards. Mongolians loved raising leopards for hunting purposes. Not only do leopards run faster than hunting dogs, they were especially feisty. Being caught by the leopard meant instant death for whatever they were set upon. The only drawback was the leopards consumed a great deal of food, so only royalty or top officials could afford to keep them. Although the leopards were restrained by men, they were still snarling and clawing while glaring viciously at everyone. The muscles on their bodies looked as if they contained boundless energy within them, ready to explode at any moment. Wen Yan Hongxi felt his heart get a little fluttery, and he was exceedingly uncomfortable. From the power and might that these two leopards were showing, it looked as if they could easily break out of the grip of their masters, should they choose. Brother, if those four aces of yours are truly great warriors and can subdue these two leopards of mine barehanded, then I'll be truly convinced, Sengam said, turning towards Temujin. The four aces were furious, as the same thought ran through their minds. You humiliated Jebe. Now you are going to humiliate us? Are we just a game? Are we just game? Are we wild wolves? Why should we fight your leopards? Temujin was far from happy about this whole proposal as well. I love my men like my own life. How can I let them fight a leopard? Is that so? Sengam burst out with a loud laugh. Then why claim to be four aces, or whatever you call them? They're not even brave enough to fight my leopards. Of the four aces, Qi La-un's temper was the shortest, and he could not stand such an insult any longer. He took a step forward. My great Khan, it doesn't matter if they laugh at us, but we cannot allow you to be shamed, he said to Temujin. I'll fight the leopards. Wen Yan Hongxi was ecstatic to hear this, so much so that he removed a bright red ruby-studded ring from his finger and tossed it onto the ground, proclaiming, If you can beat the leopard, then that's yours. Qilawen did not even give the ring a look before lunging forward, only to be held back by Mukhali. Our names are known throughout the steppe, because we have defeated so many foes. Can a leopard command an army? Can a leopard ambush or surround enemies? Wuxia reasoned loudly. Brother Sangram, you win, Temujin said as he bent down, picked up the ring, and placed it in Sengam's hand. Sengam immediately put the ring on one of his fingers and let out a triumphant laugh as he raised his hand to show off his newly won ring. Ong Khan's troops began to cheer in response. Jamuka stayed silent throughout, but was frowning heavily. Temujin kept a calm expression on his face. The four aces bitterly retreated back to their ranks. Disappointed and terribly unhappy about not seeing a man versus leopard fight, Wenyan Hongxi asked Ong Khan for 2 female slaves and retired to his own ger. Next morning, Tolui and Guo Jing ran off to play. Hand in hand, they made their way far from the main camp. Suddenly, a white rabbit ran right by in front of them. Tolui brought up his little bow and arrow, aimed and shot, and hit the rabbit squarely in the belly. Because he was so young, the arrow lacked power, so even though it was a direct hit, it was not immediately fatal, and the rabbit scuttled off, screeching with the arrow embedded in it. The 2 little kids, screaming at the top of their lungs, chased after the rabbit. After running for quite a while, the rabbit finally collapsed. The 2 kids let out a simultaneous cheer, and were just about to retrieve the rabbit when 7 or 8 kids suddenly came pouring out from the woods from one side. One particular kid, who was of about 12 years or so, was quick to recognize the situation and grabbed the rabbit. He pulled the arrow from the rabbit's belly, threw it on the ground, shot a fierce look in Tolui and Guo Jing's direction, before stomping off with the rabbit. Hey, I shot that rabbit. Why are you taking it? Tolui shouted. The kid whirled around and came back. Who says that you shot it? He laughed. Well, this arrow is mine, isn't it? The older kid's eyebrows suddenly rose and his eyes bulged out. This rabbit was my pet. You are lucky I'm not asking you to pay for it, he shouted back. You're lying. This is obviously a wild rabbit, Tolui shot back. The kid became even angrier, and he walked up and shoved Tolui. Watch out who you are accusing. My grandpa is the Ong Khan. My dad is Sengam. Of course his dad is Sengam. Do you know that? Even if you did shoot this rabbit, I'm taking it anyway. What can you do? My dad is Temujin, Tolui proudly answered. Peh! So what if he's Temujin? Your dad's a coward. He's scared of my grandpa and scared of my dad. The kid's name was Duksh. What a Duksh. And he was Sengam's only son. After having a daughter, Sengam had to wait several years before finally having a son. After him, he had no other offspring. He had always spoiled his son, letting him bully as he pleased. Temujin, Ong Khan, and Sengam had not met for a long time, even though their sons had met before. This was, for all practical purposes, their first true meeting. Hearing someone make fun of his father, Tolui was filled with anger and proudly shouted back, Says who? My dad's not afraid of anybody. When your mom was kidnapped, it was my grandpa and my dad who went and took her back for your dad. You think I don't know that? So what's the big deal if I just take his measly little rabbit of yours? Even in the past, Sengam was envious of Temujin's fame. When they helped Temujin that one time, Sengam made sure to tell everyone about it. Even his son had heard it many times. Temujin had always viewed that event as an incredible embarrassment for himself. He naturally never told Tolui about it. Hearing this at this moment, Tolui was so mad that his face turned purple. You're a liar! I'm going to tell my dad! He angrily threatened before turning around and walking off. Your dad's afraid of my dad, so what if you tell him? Duksh laughed at Tolui. Last night, when my dad brought out his 2 leopards, your dad's 4 asses were so afraid they couldn't even move. Good one, Duksh. 4 asses. Clever. Of the 4 aces, Borokul was Tolui's master. Hearing this only made Tolui even angrier. So angry he could barely speak. My master isn't even afraid of tigers. Why would he be afraid of leopards? He just didn't want to fight wild animals. He finally stuttered out. Duksh took a step forward and suddenly slapped Tolui squarely on his face. How dare you talk back to me? Aren't you afraid of me? He yelled. Tolui was startled as his cheeks instantly turned blood red. He wanted to cry, but would not let himself. Guojing had been seething on the side all this time, but now he could no longer hold back. He suddenly lunged forward and rammed his head squarely into Duksh's stomach. Good job, Guojing. My hero. This caught him by surprise and knocked him flat on his back. Yay! Tolui clapped for joy for a moment before grabbing Guojing's hand and trying to run away. Kill those 2 boys! Duksh screamed, still on the ground. Duksh's companions ran up to the 2 boys and had a fierce fight, and a fierce fight quickly broke out. Duksh pickled. he pickled himself. Duksh picked himself up from the ground and angrily charged into the fray. Duksh's gang was older than the boys to begin with, and also outnumbered them. They were able to pin down Tolui and Guojing very quickly. Give up! Give up! Duksh shouted as he continually rained punches onto Guojing's back. Guojing tried with all his might to get back up, but was weighed down by his foe's weight. At his side, Tolui was also being ganged up on by 2 kids. It was at this precarious moment that the sound of horse bells could be heard coming from just over a sand dune as a small group of riders appeared. The leading rider was a short, fat fellow riding on a yellow horse. Seeing the kids fighting in the distance, he let out a little laugh. Fighting! Short, fat fellow? Who could this be? Did they finally find him? Only when he rode closer for a better look did he realize that it was 7 kids bullying 2 much smaller kids. They'd pinned them down on the ground and were beating them. The 2 smaller kids' faces were already full of bruises. Shame on you! Let them go! He shouted. Piss off! Duksh shouted back. Do you know who I am? I'll beat up whoever I want to, and you can't do anything about it. His father was one of the most powerful men in the north, so he was used to bullying everyone, and nobody dared to challenge him. How dare you act like that? Let go of them! The rider on the yellow horse yelled back. By this time, the rest of his group had joined him. Third brother, stop meddling in affairs that don't concern us. Let's go. There was a woman in that group. Look at them! What kind of fighting is this? The rider on the yellow horse replied. These riders were the 7 freaks of the south. They had followed Duan Tiande all the way north onto the steppes before losing his trail. These past 6 years they had roamed up and down the steppes in search of Duan Tiande and Li Ping. All 7 of them had actually learned Mongolian by this time, but they still could not find any clues as to the whereabouts of Li Ping. The 7 freaks were all stubborn characters and very competitive as well. So even if faced with ordeals 10 times more difficult and more dangerous than this, they would not concede this bet to Chu Chu Chi. Without ever conferring, the 7 of them had the same plan. Even if they never find Li Ping, they would still search until the 18 years were up. At that time, they would go to Pavilion of the Drunken Immortal in Jiaxing and admit defeat to Chu Chu Chi's face. Besides, Chu Chu Chi might not find Yang Tiexin's widow either. If neither side could find their own widow, then a tie would result, and maybe another challenge would be issued. Two against one? We can't allow that. Han Xiaoying hopped off her horse and pulled the two kids that were sitting on Tolui's back off of him. Suddenly realizing that all the weight was off his back, Tolui struggled to get up. Duksh paused for a moment, and Guojing took advantage. He flipped his body violently and crawled out from between Duksh's legs. The two, having finally freed themselves, immediately tried to run away. Go after them! Duksh yelled as he led the rest of his gang in hot pursuit. Seeing these little Mongolian kids fight reminded the seven freaks of all the misadventures that they had had together when they were little, causing them to smile quite fondly at the memories. It's time to go. Let's get to the market ahead before it disperses, or else we will miss a chance to ask the people there, Kujanu suggested. By this time, Duksh's little gang had caught up to Tolui and Guojing once again and surrounded them. Do you give up? Duksh demanded. Tolui was still looking very angry, did not reply, but instead fiercely shook his head. Well, you asked for it! The kids converged upon one another yet again. Suddenly, there was a cold flash as a little dagger suddenly materialized in Guojing's hand. You want some of this? Li Ping, out of her love for her son, had already given him the dagger. Oh no! That her husband left her to carry around. She felt that this object was good for warding off evil, and had intended that this dagger protect her son from evil spirits. Because of the bullying Guojing was receiving, he pulled it out. Oh, what do you think is going to happen? Good time for a 5-minute break. All right, we'll be right back. Take some guesses. All right, and we're back. Let's see what happens. Seeing that he had a weapon with him, none of Duksh's gang was brave enough to challenge him. Magical Hands scholar Zhu Tong was already on his way when a sudden flash caught his eyes. The way the dagger reflected the sunlight lit up his heart. This reflection is incredibly strong. I've got to see what this precious little toy is. You wanna pickpocket a little kid too? Having stolen from government treasuries and rich gentry's vaults all his life, he was quite an expert at discerning precious objects. He immediately pulled his horse around and saw that one of the kids had a dagger in his hand. The dagger reflected a blue light that flickered endlessly, obviously an extremely rare weapon. But how did it end up in the hands of a little kid? Looking over the kids again, he noticed that other than Guojing, all the other kids were wearing expensive shirts made of leopard skins, but Guojing made up for it by having a golden crown-looking ring on top of his head. Obviously, the kids were all members of wealthy and influential Mongol families. The kid probably stole his father's favorite knife to play with. Stealing from kings and aristocrats won't cause too much harm. Once he made up his mind, he jumped off his horse and smiled sweetly as he approached the kids. Come on, everyone, stop fighting, play nice. As he was talking, he suddenly flashed into the circle of kids and grabbed the knife. Having devoted an incredible amount of training to capturing weapons with bare hands, only the best martial arts masters could hope to stop him from taking their weapons. Never mind a small kid like Guojing. As soon as the dagger was in his hand, Zhu Tong immediately scuttled out of the circle and hopped onto his horse. With a jerk of the reins, he laughingly galloped off and caught up to the rest of the group. Well, Today wasn't a total loss. I ended up with this little gem. I ended up with this little gem. He laughed quite heartily at his success. Second brother, you won't ever get rid of that stealing habit of yours, will you? Smiling Duda, Zhang Asheng joined in on the laughter. What little gem? Let me see it. Hidden hero of the bustling city, Chan Chin Fa, being a merchant by trade, was curious. With a flick of his arm, Zhu Tong tossed the dagger over. A streak of blue shot across the sky in the sunlight. The light from the dagger wavered, looking as if a small rainbow had just materialized, causing everyone present to shout in praise. Excellent! Chan Chin Fa involuntarily yelled as the dagger flew towards his face, sending a shiver down his spine. He reached out and caught the dagger by the handle. He endlessly in admiration as he examined the dagger. When his attention moved to the handle, he saw the characters Yang Kang carved onto it. This is a Han name. How did this dagger end up here in Mongolia? A question shot through his mind. Yang Kang. Yang Kang. I have never heard of a hero named Yang Kang. If he isn't a martial arts hero, why would he have such an exceptional weapon? Big brother, do you know who Yang Kang is? He called out. Yang Kang? Kujana searched through his memory for a while and shook his head. I have never heard of him before. Yang Kang, the narrator is going to tell us. Just reminding you guys in case you forgot. Yang Kang was the name that Chu Chuchi had given to the baby that was still inside of Bao Shi Ruo. The two fathers had exchanged daggers, and that was how Li Ping ended up with the dagger that had Yang Kang carved on it. Of course, the seven freaks did not know of this matter. Of the seven, Ku Jian'e was the oldest, as well as the most knowledgeable. If he did not know, then there was no way that the other six did. Chu Chi is searching for Yang Tiexin's widow. Could this Yang Kang have something to do with Yang Tiexin? Chen Xinfa's attention to detail made him ask. Well, if we find Yang Tiexin's widow, we would still have one-upped that bull nose. Zhu Tong joked, but having searched endlessly and fruitlessly for the past 6 years, this seemingly remote and completely unrelated lead was something that none of them were willing to let slip by. Oh, right, I forgot the kids had names before they were born. Yep, that's right, Psyduck. Looks like they found him. Han Baozhu's horse was the fastest, so he arrived back where the kids were first, only to discover that the kids were at it again. Tolui and Guojing were once again pinned down. Han Baozhu ordered the kids to break it up, but none of them heeded his words. Getting impatient, he grabbed a couple of kids and threw them off to the side. You two dogs come back tomorrow, and we'll fight again, Dux threatened Tolui because he was too scared to carry on fighting. Okay, tomorrow, Tolui shouted back as Dux led his gang away. He already had plans for what to do. He would go and ask his third brother, Ogadai, for help as soon as he got back. Of all his brothers, Ogadai was the nicest to him, and strong as well. He would surely help if asked. Give it back! Despite having his face covered with blood from his nose, Guojing put his hand out to Zhu Tong. Sure, no problem. Zhu Tong waved the dagger back and forth in front of Guojing's face. But you have to tell me where you got this dagger. My mom gave it to me, Guojing answered, wiping blood away from his still bleeding nose with the sleeve. And what is your dad's name? Guojing never had a father and was caught speechless by the question. All he could do was shake his head. Is your surname Yang? Chan Chin Fa asked. Once again, Guojing shook his head. Seeing that this kid was rather slow, the 7 freaks were quite disappointed. Who is Yang Kang? Zhu Tong probed further. Guojing still only shook his head. The 7 freaks had always valued their integrity above all else, so they always kept their word, even to a kid. Zhu Tong handed the dagger back to Guojing. You can go home now. Han Xiaoying took out a handkerchief and wiped off the blood from Guojing's face, as she tenderly told him, Don't fight anymore. You are still small. You can't beat them yet. Afterwards, the 7 of them climbed back onto their horses and began to leave. Guojing just stood there, watching them ride off to the east. Guojing, let's go back, Tolui suggested. Oh, they heard the name. They heard it. The 7 freaks were already quite a distance away. But Kujado's hearing was incredibly sensitive. When he heard the name Guojing, his entire body shook violently. He immediately jerked his horse around and rode back to the kids. Boy, your surname is Guo. You are Han Chinese and not Mongolian, right? He anxiously asked. Guojing grunted an assertion, sending Kujanu's mind into the clouds with joy. Who is your mother? He hurriedly asked. Mom is Mom. Thanks, Guojing. Very helpful. Guojing answered, making Kujanu scratch his head for a bit. Can you take me to your mother? My mom's not here. Sister, you ask him, Kujanu suggested, realizing that there was some hostility in Guojing's responses. Han Xiaoying hopped off her horse and walked up to Guojing. Where's your father? She asked in a warm voice. My dad was killed by bad people. When I grow up, I'm going to kill them and avenge my father. What was your father's name? Han Xiaoying was so excited that her voice was trembling, but Guojing just shook his head. Who killed your father? Kujanu asked. His name is Duan Tian De. Guojing could barely contain his anger as he said the name. Because Li Ping knew that in such a desolate and remote place as the steppes, any moment could bring with it many dangers, she knew that her chances of ever returning to China were nearly non-existent. If something should happen to her suddenly, her son would never know the name of his mortal enemy, and that would not do. She had long ago told her son over and over again the name and appearance of Duan Tian De. She was an illiterate farm girl and had always called her husband Xiao Ge. She had heard other people call him Brother Guo, but had never cared about what her husband's real name was. Girl, she don't know her husband's name. This was why Guojing had only ever known his father to be his dad, and did not know that he had other names. Duan Tian De. That name did not come out of Guojing's mouth very loudly, but when the 7 freaks heard it, the shock rendered them speechless. Even if 3 bolts of lightning suddenly struck beside them on this clear and sunny day, it would not have shocked them as much. In the blink of an eye, it felt as if the earth beneath them shook, as if the wind and air around them became colored. She calls the kid dumb? Yep, that she does. That she does, Psyduck. Apparently she does it very often. Only after a very prolonged silence did Han Xiaoying suddenly let out an ecstatic shout. At the same time, Jiang Asheng was beating his fists into his chest like a madman. Chen Qinfa had thrown his arm tightly around Nan Shiren's neck, and Han Baoju was doing backflips on his horse's saddle. Damn, he's doing backflips. Ku Jian'e reared his head back and laughed crazily, while Zhu Tong was spinning like a top. Seeing them act like this, Tolui and Guojing could not decide whether they were funny or just plain crazy. Only after a long time did the seven freaks finally, slowly calm down, but their faces were filled with joy. Merciful Bodhisattva, thank you, thank you. Zhang Asheng knelt down and prayed. Little brother, let's sit down and talk, Han Xiaoying said to Guo Jing, anxious to get back and ask his brother Ogadai for help, as well as having a bad feeling about these seven strangers with their strange accents and even stranger behavior. Tolui did not want to stay any longer. Even though these same strangers had just helped them in a fight, Tolui incessantly urged Guojing to start heading back. I need to go now. Guojing finally relented and began to walk away hand in hand with Tolui. Hey, you can't go now. Let that little friend of yours go back by himself. Han Baoju almost panicked and yelled at the top of his lungs. The two little kids were scared of the man's ugly complexion and immediately started to run as soon as he began to yell. Han Baoju chased them and was just about to grab the back of Guo Jing's neck with his fat hands when Zhu Tong cut him off. Third brother, don't be so rude. Zhu Tong lightly parried Han Baoju's hand and stopped it in mid-move, much to Han Baoju's surprise. Picking up a little speed, Zhu Tong quickly got in front of the two little kids. I'm going to do some magic. You guys just watch, okay? He smiled at the kids as he picked up 3 stones. Guojing and Tolui's curiosity was immediately piqued, and both of them stopped and watched him. That was easy. Zhu Tong held his right hand out for all to see and placed the stones in the middle of his hand. Gone, he shouted as he balled his hand into a fist. When he opened his hand again, the stones were gone, shocking the little kids. Get in there. Zhu Tong pointed at the old hat that was on top of his head before taking it off. The stones were sitting right in the middle of the hat. Guojing and Tolui let out a loud cheer and applauded with joy. Yay! At this moment, a flock of wild geese flew toward them in a spear formation. This gave Zhu Tong an idea. Now we'll let my big brother show you a trick. He fished out a handkerchief, handed it to Tolui, and pointed at Ku Jian'e. Put this blindfold on him. Is it hide and go seek? Tolui hopefully wondered out loud as he put the blindfold on Ku Jian'e. No, he will shoot a wild goose out of the sky while blindfolded. Zhu Tong answered as he produced a bow and an arrow. How could he? I don't believe you, Tolui concluded. While the conversation was going on, the wild geese flew straight overhead. Zhu Tong flicked his arm and tossed the 3 stones in his hand up at the geese. Because of his powerful hands, the stones shot up and startled the geese, causing the lead goose to honk several times as he readied to lead the formation in a different direction. But Ku Jian'e had already determined its location, drew his bow to the fullest, and let loose. He hit the goose squarely in the belly, and the goose, with the arrow still in it, tumbled down onto the ground. Tolui and Guojing exploded with another cheer. They ran off to retrieve the goose and brought it back to Ku Jian'e, their young hearts filled with admiration. Remember how the 8 boys ganged up on you two earlier? Well, if you know some martial arts, then you wouldn't have to worry about there being more than one of them, Zhu Tong told the kids. We will fight some more tomorrow, and I'm going to get my older brother to help, Tolui told him. Get help from your older brother? That's something the useless kids do. I'll teach you a couple of moves that I guarantee will help you win tomorrow, Zhu Tong replied. You mean the 2 of us beating the 8 of them? Tolui asked. Yes, Yay! Come on, teach me! Tolui was greatly excited at the prospect of beating Duksh. How about you? Don't you want to learn too? Zhu asked him. He'd noticed that Guo Jing was standing to the side, seemingly uninterested. My mom told me that I shouldn't fight others. If I learn how to fight, then my mom will be unhappy. Little chicken, Han Baoju lightly berated him. If that's true, then why were you in a fight just now? Zhu asked again. Because they started it. So what are you going to do when you see your enemy, Duan Tiande? Gu Zhen'e asked in a heavy tone. I'll kill him to avenge my father. Just hearing that name made a fiery glare flashed from Guo Jing's young eyes. Your father was an expert in martial arts, yet was still killed by him. How could you kill him if you don't know any martial arts? How can you get your revenge then? Gu Zhen'e rendered Guo Jing speechless with those questions. See, you have to learn some martial arts, Han Xiaoying concluded for him. See that peak over there? Zhu pointed at a deserted mountain top to his left. If you want to learn martial arts and get your revenge, then come to the top of that mountain tonight at midnight. But you have to come by yourself. Besides this little friend of yours, you can't let anybody else find out about it. Brave enough to do it? Afraid of ghosts? Guo Jing was still stupidly standing there, but Tolui was getting impatient. Come on, teach me, please. Zhu suddenly grabbed his wrist, hooked his left foot behind him, and gently tripped him, sending Tolui onto the ground. Why did you trip me? Tolui angrily demanded once he got back up off the ground. That was martial arts. Did you learn it? Zhu smiled as he answered. As it turned out, Tolui was quite smart and understood right away. He mimicked Zhu and showed the move against an imaginary foe. Teach me something else, he said to Zhu Tong. Zhu faked a punch towards Tolui's face. Tolui dodged to the left, but Zhu Tong's right fist was waiting there for him. This punch had no force behind it and stopped the moment it touched Tolui's nose. Yay! Teach me something else! Tolui was ecstatic. Zhu suddenly braced himself and gently bumped his shoulders squarely into the kid's stomach, sending him flying off. Chen Qinfa jumped up, caught him in midair, and gently put him back onto the ground. Mister, teach me something else. If you master those 3 moves, most adults won't be able to beat you. Enough is enough. Zhu smiled and told him before turning towards Guo Jing. Did you get it? Guo Jing was still dumbstruck and not really thinking of anything else. As he absent-mindedly shook his head. When compared to the smart and intelligent Tolui, Guo Jing seemed incredibly stupid and slow to the 7 freaks, who were very disappointed at this turn of events. Han Xiaoying let out a long sigh, and her eyes reddened. I say that we stop wasting energy and just take the mother and son back south and hand them over to Chu Chu Chi. As for the competition, let's just admit defeat, Chen Qinfa observed. No one believes in him, guys. So sad. This kid's makeup is just too hopeless. He's not the kung fu practicing type, Zhu agreed. There isn't a bit of fight in him. I don't see how it's going to work, either. Han Baoju also agreed, and the 7 freaks began discussing the matter amongst themselves in their southern dialects. You 2 can go home now, Han Xiaoying waved at the 2 little kids. Tolui grabbed hold of Guo Jing's hand, and they happily skipped off. Having searched for 6 long and hard years all over the boundless steppes, The seven freaks were joyous beyond description when they finally found Guo Jing. As it turned out, the joy was only temporary. When they discovered that the kid was so dumb that it would be incredibly difficult for him to ever amount to much as a martial artist, they could not help feeling defeated. This setback could only be matched by the one they would experience had they, in fact, never found Guo Jing. Han Baoju, whip in hand, was relentlessly beating the ground, trying to vent his frustration, and nobody could get him to stop. All this time, only the wood chopper of the southern mountains, Nan Shirun, remained silent. Well, what do you think, fourth brother? Kujana asked. Very good, Nan Shiren replied. What's very good? Zhu Tong inquired. The kids, very good, he added. Fourth brother always acts as if speaking costs him money, Han Xiaoying said, letting the frustration get to her. He will never say a word more than he has to. I was also very dumb as a kid, Nan Shiren gently smiled. He was always very quiet, and every word that he spoke had already been carefully thought over, meaning that he was rarely wrong. Hearing him, the other six freaks found a glimmer of hope, and instantly became more confident. Right, that's right. Since when have I been smart? Zhang Asheng agreed, looking in Han Xiaoying's direction. Let's wait and see if he's got the guts to come tonight, Zhu Tong suggested. I say most likely not, Chen Jinfa replied. I'm going to go find where he lives first. He jumped off his horse and trailed far behind Tolui and Guo Jing until he saw them walking into their own gers. That night, the seven freaks waited on the deserted mountaintop. It was 15 minutes to 10, and the Big Dipper had noticeably changed its position, but Guo Jing was nowhere to be seen. Han Baoju sighed. Hey, the seven freaks of the south never lost to anyone in our lives, but in the end we lose to that Taoist priest, Zhu Tong said. The Chanzhen sect is fighting the Jurchens in the north and helping the poor Chinese citizens there. Everything the sect does is chivalrous and admirable. The seven masters of Changchun are great martial arts experts and honorable individuals. Chu Chu Chi is even said to be the most exceptional one of the seven masters. Losing to him won't damage our good name. Furthermore, we are trying to save lives of survivors of an honorable man, which is a good deed. When people in Wulin hear of this, they can only praise us and say well done. The other freaks agreed and felt better. Looking to the west, dark clouds were gathering on top of each other, off on the horizon. But above their heads, not a cloud could be seen in the dark blue sky. The winds were swirling around them from the northwest. The winds are howling like this swirling storm inside. Sometimes it would gust, other times it would be still. In the middle of the sky hung the bright moon, but a faint yellow ring could be discerned around it. Looks like there's going to be a storm tonight, Han Xiaoying observed. The kid is not going to come. Oh, is he? Then let's go to him tomorrow morning, Zhang Asheng replied. Being a little slow is not a big problem. But if this kid is afraid of the dark, Kujana sighed and shook his head. The seven of them were just wandering around when Han Baoju suddenly spotted something in a bush. Hey, what's that? He pointed at 3 piles of white objects that looked awfully strange in the moonlight. Chen Jinfa walked over to investigate, only to discover that they were human skulls placed neatly in 3 piles. Bum bum bum. And that is enough for today. Good place to stop, in my opinion. What do you guys think of the chapter? I liked it. Yay. They finally found him. Cliffhanger? Yeah. Guo Jing is gonna learn some martial arts, okay? Gonna avenge his father. And it's gonna be a happy story. I think that's what's gonna happen. Cheers. All right. What are the odds? Like, they just happened to find him. Well, I guess they did. They did go around for 6 years trying to find him. It is really interesting to not know your husband's name. Yeah. Yeah, I assume a lot of like rural people back in the day, they don't have they don't even have first names, right? A lot of it is just, oh, the butcher, or oh, the tailor or whatever. That would be their name. I know how to hold a wine glass. To be pretentious. Oh, I don't do this anymore. Or sometimes I do. Husband's name is husband. Yeah. All right. Yeah. The YouTuber. You can call me the YouTuber, okay? And I can make videos for you. That's my job in the village. You can't see them because you don't have internet or a phone, but I'll make them for you. Pinky in? Oh, are you supposed to hold it pinky in? Oh, I'm doing it right. All right, guys. Tune in next time to see what these human skulls are all about. The possum tuber? Oh yeah. Oh, the possums have not come back. I think my fix has worked, guys. They have not. I have not heard anything up in the attic. I assume they're just happy in the park, living their lives now, or they were attacked by other possums or other animals and killed. Who knows? They were once alive. You all live in my attic. Yeah. Sometimes I'll come up and I'll feed you guys. Only if you make noise. Alright, guys. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for joining. I love you, and I will see you next time. Alright. Bye.